Welcome back, y'all. Today we'll be looking at renewable energy and climate action. I just found an article here dated August the 21st. It's called Trump Says Federal Government Will Not Approve New Wind Farms and Solar Projects. And oh boy, do I have a lot to say about this. I don't even know where to begin. So I'll just read down here. Alright, so Trump said on Truth Social, any state that has built and relied on windmills and solar for power are seeing record-breaking increases in electricity and energy costs. The scam of the century. We will not approve wind or farmer destroying solar. Okay, that sentence is kind of weird. The days of stupidity are over in the USA. Well, Donald, if you're trying to make people look stupid, you're doing a damn good job at making yourself look stupid. Let me just point out the aggression he uses in his posts. He frequently calls Democrats radical left lunatics and such. He uses all caps with multiple exclamation points. You know what that tells me? Trump is a bigot. He don't want to fix this country. He don't even try to hide it. He openly despises half the people in this country. He only wants to serve his side. Good leaders should serve all the people, try to negotiate with his enemies, and see their point of view. And not submit to it, of course, but at least concede something. What Trump's doing, though, he's dismissing his opponents as traitors who should be thrown in jail. Which, for the record, is ridiculous, because all the stuff that Trump's done in his life, if anyone belongs in jail, it's him. But if he don't learn to chill out and cooperate with people, we're going to have another civil war. With Biden, despite his problems and his lack of action in certain policy arenas, he at least tried to listen to people. I'll give him that. Any president who wants to listen, I take over the one who don't. It's not a matter of their platform. Left, right, I couldn't give a fuck about that shit. It's not about the sword here. It's the person wielding it. And Trump is the wrong person to take that sword. I'm not saying he's a bad guy. No one is. But I think his sociopathy combined with dementia is a really bad combo for holding office. It's not his fault. It's all from his upbringing. But it's still a problem we gotta take care of. Okay, back to the article. So Trump's upset that the push for renewable energy has caused electricity prices to skyrocket. Which of course is over the top. Because there's only been a 20% rise according to CNBC. Now I'm sure we all know what this is about, right? Climate change. That's driving the push for renewables. And climate change is a super serious thing. In school, I learned all about what CO2 does to our atmosphere. And if we don't change our energy patterns, then in my lifetime, we could see average temps rise like 506 degrees Fahrenheit. Now that don't sound bad at first, but if you're a skier or like a snowboarder, you know how much of a difference that makes. So yeah, it could do a whole lot of damage. Not to mention the increase in droughts or superstorms. We already seen evidence of this stuff. Now, obviously, the Earth has changed a lot since its formation, so climate change is normal, yes. These processes occur over millions of years, nowhere near this current rate. Unless like there was some doomsday mass extinction event. The human industrial complex is changing the Earth much faster than it can adapt. The theory of global warming's been around since the 80s. There's more articles on it than there are grains of sand. But no one knows what's true or not because people always find a way to squeeze their biases into everything. They don't want the truth to come out because it threatens their economic or personal interests. Most scientists out there are motivated, meaning they don't look for truth. They seek to produce a specific result that politicians or corporations lack. Well, that needs to end, people. Now look, I agree. Some leftists go way overboard with his doomsday climate prophecies, over-exaggerating the threat, making us scared to death of fossil fuels. But guys on the right, who are trying to cover up climate change and say it's a hoax, just because it threatens our way of life, they're probably worse. All sides need to come together, get some scientists to collect real climate data. Raw, unfiltered, untempered, no politics, no bias. We need the full truth. What exactly can we expect in the next 100 years if we don't change things? Then we can make rational decisions about green energy. If the threat's serious, then we need to act urgently and get rid of fossil fuels. Yeah, it will suck for a while, but if it means saving the planet, then it's all worth it. If it's not that bad, then we can afford a more gradual transition. We can use little fossil fuel in the meantime. Now we can't use it forever. That's not just because of climate change, but because fossil fuels onto a renewable energy source. We use them way faster than the earth makes them. So if we keep relying on fossil fuels like it's our lifeblood, what the fuck are we gonna do when they run out? Does that not scare anyone? Why does no one talk about that? We are setting ourselves up for Armageddon. You want to talk about national security? Let's be sustainable, for God's sake. Sustainability is the greatest pillar of security for any civilization, yet it always gets overlooked. And that's how we fall. Let's think about the future for once, and I mean like in 100 years or more. If we keep doing things this way, where will we end up? It's so unfortunate that we have to suffer for the mistakes people made in the past. And I mean from the year 1800 to the present. The Industrial Revolution should have been a blessing, but humans turned it into a curse because they were just too goddamn stupid. When it comes to innovation, society is like one giant toddler. No one thinks in the long term. They just eat shit up. Like one day we dig up oil and then we just assume that oil is infinite and we can just keep digging it up forever and ever. And like we're gonna get rich, it's all gonna be sunshine and rainbows. Motherfucker! Of course it's gonna run out. Of course it's gonna pollute the earth. Lewis and Clark come through here, and suddenly all these hunters and fur trappers barge in, killing all the animals until they're all near extinction. We make all these medical advances, but yet people just keep fucking and fucking and fucking, driving up the population until we need fossil fuels and goddamn fertilizers to support everyone. No one thinks about the bigger picture. They only care about what makes me rich, what drives up the stocks, what makes my country powerful. Like fuck my grandkids, I only care about what makes us good in the short run. Now look where we are. We're so vulnerable. We're hooked on all this crap like it's fucking fentanyl and it's killing us. Or it's going to. We need to find a way to withdraw. And it may be hard, but it must be done. Like the energy costs. Yeah, they might have to go up. All that means is we need to adapt. Like turn off the lights, turn down the thermostat, take a bike instead of a car, buy a solar panel. If we believe in ourselves, we can find ways to make it easier. We have engineers and scientists. The problem is we have politicians and corporations who don't give a fuck about anyone but themselves. We're in a spoil system where personal loyalty is all that matters. We don't care about merit or ingenuity. Well, that needs to change. My proposal is we establish a government think tank. It's like a Supreme Court, which is a panel of justices who check the decisions of the other two branches to make sure they don't go apeshit. They're unbiased, they have no loyalty to any party, and they see things from the outside of all the commotion. Likewise, our think tank will be a diverse panel of scientists, engineers, philosophers, and whatnot who put intellectual checks on the government's decisions. They'll conduct research and find solutions to our nation's problems. And they're on the outside of things. They're unbiased, unmotivated, driven by truth, not by party loyalty and shit. And they're not in it for the money either, which I know is a problem with those mega corporations. Greedy bastards. Of course, they'll still be compensated just like the president, but money's not their ultimate goal. They're selfless. I'm dead serious about this. For too long we kept science and knowledge out of the political landscape. Politicians are too afraid of intellect. If we are to make real progress in the world, we need to put the smart people up front, not the yes men. Alright, I'm digressing again. So back to the article. It says down here that the USDA will no longer invest in offshore wind projects and solar farms, noting that solar panels are taking up millions of acres of prime farmland. Okay, so that's actually a big concern. They're right about that. We want to go solar, but we also don't want to incite a food shortage. And if that's where we're heading, then we need to pause our solar conquest and rethink how we're going about things. So we just need to be more meticulous about where we're putting up solar panels. Obviously, solar alone is not the solution to our energy problem. Okay, look guys, I'm well aware that renewable energy systems like wind and solar farms have caveats. A big one I hear a lot is the impact of natural ecosystems. Like dams hurt the fish, windmills kill birds, they can't migrate, solar farms are similar. But you know what? Buildings kill a lot more of them, and so do other things we build. And there are ways to mitigate these impacts. Like we used to build our freeways so they just rip through the landscape. And it would fuck up the local ecosystems that were important to us. Like, the deer couldn't cross. Then around the 80s, we found ways to build these roads that mitigated these issues and made life better for everybody. Humans, plants, and other animals. My point being, we can always find better ways. Like with solar panels, we can find ways to implement them on open plains without compromising crop yields too much. I also know that solar panels produce a lot of waste. Like the last 25 years, and then you gotta dispose of them, and they got all these heavy metals and shit. I get that. And that's why we gotta keep up the research, keep making progress. Longer lifespan, higher efficiency. The numbers have gone up a lot in 30 years, but we can still do better. We also need to develop a safe recycling program. And all this drive for innovation is why we have the think tank in place, to coordinate closely with government and make the impossible possible. Now keep in mind our forefathers put us in a real tough predicament, and there is no easy way out. We can try to find the best path forward, but one way or another, we're going to have to sacrifice something. Probably something big. There's really two things we have to prevent here, at all costs. One, we don't want mass food shortages. And two, we must stop the world from burning before it's too late. The rest don't matter. Like, if we have to sacrifice a few wildlife species to save the whole fucking biosphere, let's do it. I'm not saying it's going to come to that, but we gotta be prepared to make sacrifices, you know? You wanna know what I think are the best two paths? Well, the first one is we go nuclear. Now, the article doesn't say nothing about nuclear power, but it's still a huge factor in all this. Although it's not a renewable source of energy, it's still clean and it'll give us enough time to figure out all this solar farm shit or ease out of our energy dependence. The waste is very small and easy to manage. People today are scared of nuclear because of Chernobyl and Hiroshima and shit. But if we're not grossly negligent, then we have nothing to worry about. Now, the second path is on the consumer end. For homeowners, I think the solution is a combination of localizing power and using less of it. We can build wind farms in the middle of nowhere, but it would be more efficient if cities could generate their own power and it all came from a 10-mile radius. Even better if people got power from their own homes. Like, we can put panels on our roof, stick 8-foot wind turbines in our backyard. The possibilities are endless. Could even try water wheels, treadmills, wind-up flashlights, solar flashlights. No, I got some solar-powered lights that I use for camping, and they're great. They're lightweight and they're very durable. Nowadays, you're better off financially in the long run by just ditching the grid and going solar. That is, if Trump wasn't trying to cut the tax credits. Now, you probably won't get as much power output. That's the other side of it. We gotta trim off the excess fat, you know what I mean? Most people live where they don't need a car to get to work or get to the store or whatever. All you need is a road bike and a backpack. Really, guys. And did you know that HVAC is a huge portion of your home's energy use? Like, turn down the thermostat 5 degrees or so. Wear a jacket inside, or don't heat the rooms you don't sleep in. I know it sounds tough, but we gotta do it, alright? Self-sustainability is a wonderful thing. It's good for you, it's good for the earth, and it's one step closer to personal freedom. And if we got engineers and people up at the top who are intelligent, unbiased, put the public first, you'll make the process a whole lot easier. Alright? Thank you guys for listening. I'll see you next time.